Have you ever wondered why most people seem stuck while a small percentage seem to dominate the game of life? The answer isn't just luck or circumstances, but rather small daily decisions, actions that most people simply ignore. And the most interesting part, the people who stand out don't do anything extraordinary. They simply do what others avoid. What I'm about to show you might seem counterintuitive, but this is exactly what will put you ahead of 99% of people. It's not about working harder, but about working differently, smartly, and based on science and strategies that really work. Get ready to discover how simple changes can take you to a level that few can reach. Are you ready to stand out? Be different. Being different isn't just about having innovative ideas or dressing eccentrically. It's about making choices that most people avoid, those that aren't easy but can yield extraordinary results. While many are focused on the safer path, those who stand out are the ones who challenge the status quo. A practical example. Instead of following the traditional career path your family or society expects, you might choose something that truly resonates with your passions, even if it seems like a risky decision. The big question is, are you willing to be part of the 1% who do what most avoid? Making uncommon decisions doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler you keep your choices, the easier it will be to move forward. Most people get lost in details or endless comparisons when the real secret is action. Becoming overwhelmed by unnecessary complications only delays your progress. Instead of spending hours analyzing your next step, do what few people do. Choose a path and keep going, adjusting as you move forward. Remember, even the greatest innovations started with simple and straightforward steps. To truly do what most people don't, a mindset shift is essential. Start adopting the idea that the extraordinary lies in the simple but strategic. Instead of constantly striving for perfection, focus on getting a little better every day, consistently. And here's the real trick. While many wait for the perfect moment, you'll already be ahead, moving with a confidence that few possess. And the science behind this? Well, neuroscience has a lot to say about this behavior. When you base your decisions on neuroscience and psychology, you're not just relying on luck or instinct. You're using concrete data and studies to improve your performance. The human brain is a complex machine, and understanding how it works can give you an advantage that most people simply ignore. For example, studies show that practicing gratitude every day can literally reprogram your brain to be more optimistic and resilient. By applying these concepts, you begin to take control of areas in your life that once seemed random or out of your reach. Psychology also teaches us that small changes can lead to big results. Techniques like behavior modeling help create habits that boost performance to higher levels. Want a practical example? If you want to improve your concentration, you can practice the Pomodoro technique, which breaks your time into high productivity blocks followed by short breaks. This not only improves your focus, but also prevents mental exhaustion, something many people underestimate. By applying these principles, you can restructure your routine to maximize your potential. Neuroscience also reveals that we are programmed to avoid discomfort, but it's precisely when we push past these limits that we truly grow. Imagine that each time you step out of your comfort zone, your brain is literally adapting and creating new connections. Instead of resisting challenges, embrace them as a way to shape your brain to become more resilient and agile. And the most interesting part? This is just the beginning of the process, because focusing on progress is where the real magic happens. Process, not results. People often get so hung up on results that they end up frustrated when things don't go as expected. But those who achieve great things know that the secret lies in the process. Focusing only on the final destination is a common mistake. The real learning, growth, and evolution happen along the way. Think of an elite athlete. They don't become the best in the world just by winning competitions, but by training every day, adjusting, and honing their skills. The result is merely the consequence of a continuous process of improvement. This process-focused mentality is applicable to any area of life. Want to improve in your career, finances, or even relationships? Focus on being a little better each day instead of waiting for a giant leap in progress. Learning something new every day or working consistently on small projects are simple ways to adopt this approach. By the end of a month, the progress will be noticeable. And the best part is that by focusing on the process, you remove the pressure of immediate results, allowing yourself to evolve more naturally and sustainably. One of the greatest benefits of valuing the process is that you become more resilient to failures. When you understand that every mistake is part of your growth, it ceases to be an obstacle and becomes a lesson. Those who fixate only on the final result tend to give up more easily when they encounter challenges. But if you adopt a process-focused mindset, you know that every step, even the ones that don't go as planned, is moving you forward. And speaking of obstacles, emotional control is what helps you overcome those moments. Emotional control. Controlling emotions doesn't mean repressing them or pretending they don't exist. It actually involves recognizing what you're feeling and learning to manage those feelings constructively. Emotional intelligence is one of the most powerful skills you can develop to succeed in any area of life. Imagine a situation where everything seems to be falling apart around you. Most people would panic, but those who master their emotions can think clearly and make more effective decisions. A practical example is controlled breathing. In stressful moments, deep and slow breathing for a few minutes can calm your mind and prevent impulsive reactions. Beyond immediate techniques like breathing, emotional control is also related to how you handle daily challenges. Instead of allowing problems to accumulate, an emotionally intelligent person knows how to recognize and face adversities before they spiral out of control. This can be done through practices like meditation, which teaches you to deal with thoughts and feelings more consciously. Over time, you develop the ability to respond to challenges calmly rather than reacting explosively. The secret is to train the mind in the same way you train the body, with patience and consistency. When you master emotional control, it becomes easier to overcome obstacles and persist through difficulties. After all, the path to great achievements is full of challenges, and how you handle them defines your success. People who know how to control their emotions have a clear advantage over those who let stress and anxiety take over. By maintaining inner balance, you become more resilient and prepared to face whatever comes your way. And speaking of preparation, adjusting your environment is one of the most effective strategies to facilitate emotional control and create healthy habits. The truth is that we often fail not because of a lack of willpower, but because the environment around us is sabotaging us. Imagine trying to stick to a healthy diet while your home is filled with ultra-processed foods. No matter how hard you try, it will be harder to resist. To change your habits consistently, your environment must be aligned with your goals. A simple strategy? Change what's around you. Replace those packs of cookies with visible fruits and vegetables in the kitchen, and you'll see how much easier it will be to stick to your diet. Our environment also affects our productivity. A disorganized space, or one filled with distractions, can undermine your concentration and make work feel more difficult than it really is. Creating a clean and well-organized workspace with minimal distractions is an effective way to facilitate focus and task execution. If you work from home, for example, establish a routine that involves separating your workspace from the rest of the house so your mind associates that space with productivity. Over time, this becomes a habit that no longer requires mental effort. The key here is to avoid relying solely on willpower. While it's a useful tool, it has its limits. When you adjust the environment in your favor, you make it easier to form lasting habits without constantly battling your own brain. Small changes in your physical space can lead to big transformations in your habits. And to reinforce this change, a powerful technique is to keep track of your feelings and how you deal with challenges through an emotional journal. Keeping an emotional journal might seem like a simple practice, but the benefits are surprising. Writing about your emotions regularly helps you identify patterns, understand your reactions, and most importantly, improve your emotional intelligence. Imagine the impact of realizing that every time you face criticism, you feel demotivated and react negatively. Noting these emotions allows you to observe these cycles, and over time, you start to respond more rationally and less impulsively. It's like having a map of your emotions, helping you navigate difficult moments more clearly. Writing in an emotional journal is also an effective way to vent and process feelings that might otherwise build up and cause more stress. Instead of bottling up frustration, writing allows you to externalize it in a healthy way without involving others. A simple exercise is to write at the end of the day about the moments that caused strong emotions, whether good or bad, and reflect on how you handled those situations. Over time, this process helps you improve how you manage your emotions in real time. And the best part? This practice can be adapted to your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be an extensive journal or something formal. It can be as simple as an app on your phone or a notebook where you jot down quick thoughts. The important thing is to record your emotions regularly. As you train this skill, you start to notice how small changes in your reactions can lead to significant improvements in your well-being. And speaking of changes, your brain is even more flexible than you imagine. The concept of neuroplasticity may sound technical, but in simple terms, it means that the brain is capable of changing and adapting throughout life, regardless of age. This means that you have the power to transform your habits, behaviors, and even your way of thinking by shaping your brain with new experiences. It's as if your brain is a piece of clay that can be repeatedly molded. The more you practice something, the stronger the neural connection associated with that activity becomes. And the reverse is also true. The less you repeat a negative behavior, the weaker that connection becomes. Brain plasticity shows us that it's never too late to learn a new skill or change a habit. If you've always wanted to learn to play an instrument or acquire a technical skill, know that your brain is ready to adapt to these new challenges. A practical example? If you start learning a new language today, constant repetition and immersion in the language literally create new neural networks. This is proof that the old saying, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks," doesn't apply to the human brain. This incredible capacity for adaptation also applies to emotional and behavioral issues. If you often find yourself stuck in cycles of negative thoughts or self-sabotage, know that it's possible to train your brain to react differently. Through techniques like mindfulness and conscious practices, you can reinforce more positive and productive thought patterns. The brain is your most powerful ally in your journey of transformation, and one of the biggest allies in that transformation is physical activity. The concept of neuroplasticity may sound technical, but in simple terms, it means that the brain is capable of changing and adapting throughout life, regardless of age. This means that you have the power to transform your habits, behaviors, and even your way of thinking by shaping your brain with new experiences. It's as if your brain is a piece of clay that can be repeatedly molded. The more you practice something, the stronger the neural connection associated with that activity becomes. And the reverse is also true. The less you repeat a negative behavior, the weaker that connection becomes. Brain plasticity shows us that it's never too late to learn a new skill or change a habit. If you've always wanted to learn to play an instrument or acquire a technical skill, know that your brain is ready to adapt to these new challenges. A practical example? If you start learning a new language today, constant repetition and immersion in the language literally create new neural networks. This is proof that the old saying, "You can't teach an old dog new tricks," doesn't apply to the human brain. This incredible capacity for adaptation also applies to emotional and behavioral issues. If you often find yourself stuck in cycles of negative thoughts or self-sabotage, know that it's possible to train your brain to react differently. Through techniques like mindfulness and conscious practices, you can reinforce more positive and productive thought patterns. The brain is your most powerful ally in your journey of transformation, and one of the biggest allies in that transformation is physical activity. It's easy to believe that money is the key to happiness, but science shows that relationships have a much greater impact on long-term well-being. Psychology studies indicate that people with strong and healthy social connections are happier and live longer than those who live in isolation, regardless of their wealth. A clear example of this is communities that value family and friendship bonds, such as the inhabitants of regions known for their longevity. In these communities, the focus is on human connections, and this is reflected in a superior quality of life. This doesn't mean that money isn't important, but it does have a limit to what it can provide in terms of happiness. Buying new things can bring momentary satisfaction, but it's in lasting relationships that we find a deeper sense of fulfillment. A dinner with friends, a sincere conversation with a loved one, or simply being there for someone in a difficult moment are examples of how true happiness manifests. Investing time and energy in genuine relationships is one of the best ways to ensure long-term happiness. And the magic here is that by balancing the pursuit of new material achievements with the appreciation of relationships, you achieve a more complete life. Of course, financial goals are important, but the focus shouldn't be exclusively on that. Maintaining a balance between pursuing new achievements and appreciating what has already been conquered, whether material goods or special moments with the people around you, is the secret to full happiness. And speaking of balance, finding motivation and practicing gratitude are keys to continuing to move forward. Keeping motivation alive can seem like a challenge, especially when results take time to appear. But the secret to staying motivated is balancing the pursuit of new goals with the recognition of what has already been achieved. Practicing gratitude, for example, is a powerful tool that many people underestimate. By recognizing and being thankful for small daily victories, you nurture a constant sense of accomplishment, which keeps your spirit and energy alive to chase your next objectives. A simple example. At the end of each day, write down 3 things you are grateful for. This trains your mind to focus on the positive and increases your resilience in the face of challenges. Motivation is an internal force, but it can be reinforced by external habits. Setting clear and measurable goals is an effective way to maintain focus. Instead of saying, "I want to be healthier," you can define something more concrete like, "I will walk 30 minutes every day." This gives your brain direction, and each goal achieved strengthens your sense of progress. The key is to balance the ambition to reach new horizons with the appreciation of what has already been achieved. After all, what good is reaching new heights if you can't stop to appreciate what you already have? This balance between motivation and gratitude creates a solid foundation for continuous success. When you practice gratitude, you not only acknowledge your achievements, but also feel energized to keep moving forward. And by pursuing new goals, you stay in a cycle of growth and fulfillment. True motivation comes from knowing that while there is always more to achieve, what you already have is also enough. And thus we conclude this journey of learning. But the true application of this knowledge begins now. How will you put all this into practice? Now that you know how to stand out, the question is, will you apply this knowledge or let it pass by? Small daily changes are what really make the difference. Are you ready to rise above the average and reach your true potential? Start now. And if you want to keep learning how to evolve, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The next step might be what will transform your life.